You're listening to Midday Mobile with Sean Sullivan on FM Talk 106.5. Call Sean now at 343-0106.
All right, it is Midday Mobile, FM Talk 106.5, and live from the Mobile Boat Show. Glad to have you along on this Friday. I'm glad to have our next guest on as well. Always a treat when we get to talk to Senator Jeff Sessions. Happy Friday to you.
Thank you, Sean. Good to be with you. Wish I were in hometown Mobile.
It's going to be 72 today. Just thought I'd let you know, 72 and sunny. It's about a perfect day here for February. Yeah. But from what's happy back here at home to what's sad in Washington now, and news really hit me like a ton of bricks on Saturday. I can only imagine you with the passing of Justice Antonin Scalia.
Right. It's a person I got to know over the years, and what a delightful, wonderful person he is. He was a man of faith, a man of intellect, and the big deal to me was that he respected the Constitution. He respected the American order of legal order, and he didn't try to impose his political views every time a case came before him. And in fact, he was a brilliant critic of those judges who did that. So he helped lead a movement in the court that's actually made the court much better. Still often a one-vote majority for an activist viewpoint, but for many times he prevailed, and years ago it was worse than today, and he deserves a lot of credit. We're going to miss Justice Scalia. There's just no doubt about it.
You are one of the big voices of the rule of law in the legislative branch, and just what you said about Justice Scalia, just from the outside, not having your legal background and obviously your time in Washington, but just looking at it, here's a man that sometimes he would know all the time, I think, would put his emotions behind the Constitution and say, well, this is what I feel, but here's what the Constitution says.
Exactly. You can't, if the judges who believe in a living Constitution, that means not the contract that it was between the people and their government. It's a document that they can alter it to make it say what they think it ought to say today. But that's the job of the people in the legislative branch, not the 5 members of the Supreme Court. You can't have the government and public policy being set by only 5 of 9 lawyers on the Supreme Court, as Scalia pointed out in this marriage case recently, and they all went to the same kind of law schools in the same part of the country. They're not reflective of America. They don't get to set the policy for America. This is a big deal, and so the court's pretty much evenly divided, with one justice kind of swinging both ways. And to lose a justice like Scalia and have an activist appointed in his place, I think would be a really damaging blow for the traditional American view of what a judge should do.
Well, what about that in this battle to come? And I hate to even speak of this before the man's been laid to rest, but unfortunately in today's world and political world, you have to start right away, because President Obama's already started on this, and he's going to nominate someone. What's the spirit in the Senate in general, and specifically in the Judiciary Committee?
Well, the question is, should this nominee be confirmed at this date? We don't even have a nominee yet. Traditionally, we've never confirmed, virtually never confirmed a judge in the last year. Last one was Justice Kennedy, and he was nominated in last fall. The fall before, he was had his hearings in December, and he was confirmed earlier than this, by February. But we're not. So this nomination is not going to move. It's what the Democrats would do if they had the majority, and it's what Republicans will do this time. We're going to have a presidential election, and the American people are going to select a president, and that president should be required. The candidate should be required to say what kind of judge they're going to nominate. And once that's done, then you can. People will vote on it, and in effect, they'll have an impact in which way the Supreme Court tilts in the future. And I think that's the right thing, and I believe Republicans are committed to that. Senator McConnell, our leader, is crystal clear on that. He understands these judges. He goes back to Bork time. He used to serve on the Judiciary Committee, and we're just not going to confirm somebody at this late date, and it's perfectly within the power of the Senate.
I found myself earlier this week using the last name, the surname Bork, as a verb in discussing this. As you look at, and as much strategy as you can let us know about Senator Sessions, the strategy coming from Republicans in the Senate will it be one of just not letting it happen, or will it be not nominating? In other words, will it be?
I think that really the president will be causing a whole lot of disruption over something that's not going to happen if he tries to push this and make it harder for him to accomplish bipartisan things in the last part of his term. So I don't think the nominee should be brought up in judiciary. It's too late to do that this year, and if we get a nominee, I don't think it should be brought up. I believe Chuck Grassley, good chairman of the Judiciary Committee, and Mitch McConnell have an op-ed out today in which they make this case. And I believe other members of our conference will back that. It's what the Democrats would do. It's the common sense thing to do. And it's just not, we're not going to move a nominee this year.
Okay, so and this is good info, because we were wondering earlier this week about Senator Grassley. So he seems to be concrete in opposition along with Mitch McConnell. I
think so. I haven't read the op-ed. I just saw a note about it, and I think he and McConnell are I think it was a healthy thing for the two of them. He chairs the Judiciary Committee, Grassley does, and Mitch leads the Republican majority in the Senate. There are 54 Republican senators. You got to get 51 to be confirmed, and the Senate's not going to confirm somebody at this late date. And the president's even said he's not trying to do a moderate, somebody that might have some Republican vote. So I think it's will be decided in large part by who the people elect president next November.
Help me understand this, Senator Sessions. This is something I've, from the outside looking in, have seen. Over time, there have been a handful of conservatives nominated for the Supreme Court that then start shifting left. But I've never seen the opposite of somebody from the left shifting right. Is there an exception to that?
Well, not much. I got to tell you, it does seem to have happened. But in recent years, we lost Chief Justice Rehnquist. He passed away. But so Scalia became the leader of the intellectual, traditional judicial movement. I don't like to call it conservative because it's basically just respecting law.
Right.
And then you had Justice Thomas, who's just a champion, a fabulous justice, and then Justice Roberts and Alito. Some people are disappointed in Roberts' vote on Obamacare, but other than that, he's just been a brilliant justice. Justice Alito is just fabulous. He just seems to get better and better every year to me. So we've got had a good group, and we need another really smart, capable, principled justice to fill Justice Scalia's vacancy. It's just critical for those of us who want to be sure the courts don't take over policy-setting matters.
Well, I mean, we can look back in very recent history here and seeing, even with the 5-4 lean, the things where you mentioned Obamacare, upholding same-sex marriage. These are things that have happened with the 5-4 lean. One can only imagine if the 5-4 was the other way.
That's right. And it would be very difficult to restrain the court. So you had the marriage case. Justice Kennedy supported the Democratic activist bloc on that one. Kennedy voted against Obamacare, but John Roberts went with the Democratic group on that one. So sometimes it's frustrating, but I do believe that this seat is pivotal. It will determine whether or not we allow 5 lifetime appointed, unaccountable liberal lawyers from the Northeast or law schools to set policy for America. And it's not the right thing. That's not what the founders ever would have imagined.
I heard one name the other night during discussion here from Donald Trump, and he mentioned Alabamian Justice Breyer. Is that a name that you've heard floated around elsewhere?
Well, our Mobile native, Bill Pryor, is a brilliant person, a great principled justice, a man of faith and integrity, and he ought to be on the short list of any Republican president. There's just no doubt about that. He's the kind of person I think would fit the role very well.
Coming right back, more with Senator Jeff Sessions right here on Midday Mobile. Lots to talk about. We'll be back in just 4 minutes.